Welcome everyone, and this is instructional design and pedagogy track. So yes, but today I would like to lead you in this journey that I try to prepare for you. I'm Ilaria Botti, an instructional designer from Abstract Technology, a company based in Germany, in Berlin. And yes, I think in this room there are a lot of instructional designers, but I like to defining me a learning experience designer, because instructional designer and learning experience designer are the same, but the perspective is a bit different, I think, because my three pillars, and sorry, but I had some images, unfortunately, today don't work, but my three pillars in the work I do daily are creativity and curiosity, human first, and discovery. This for me means that first I try to be an open-minded person. I try to put people at the center of my work, and also I try to find solutions. I try to find technologies new for people, learners, and for sure the instructors. So let's go in this journey. As you can see in the title, the learner is not only a user, and learning experience design is more than marketing. How many of you have used already a tool like Learning Persona? Okay. So, Learning Persona is a design tool derivated from design thinking. So, design thinking is something that comes from business, comes from marketing. So is something that sometimes should be a challenge, because a learner a persona, before to become a learner persona, a persona was used first in marketing industry. And in marketing industry, persona are used the first to try to understand the behavior of people, try to understand the users, habit of customers, and stuff like this. And for sure, in our work, personas can help us to understand our learners. In particular, can help us to design for learners' needs in a more effective way. So what are the features of learner personas? Sometimes it's more simple to define something, say what this kind of thing is not. So I'll try to start from this point. Learner personas first are not a magic tool to define some features. The creator of personas is Alan Cooper, and in a recent article I read some months ago, he said that he was sometimes upset because he found that corporates used personas as a kind of magic tool, and in particular some corporates, like for example Microsoft, big corporates, because they tend to use personas to convince to use some tools. to force their developers to say this tool is the best ever. So Alan Cooper said, please don't use personas to try to convince people to use some features as something cooked up in the ivory towers of these corporates. And I agree, I totally agree. Learner personas are not a way to make things complex. Instead, they help us to make things simple, not complex. And the final point is that learning persona are only a tool, one of different tools we have at our disposal as a learning experience designer. So now I want to show briefly you, some of you that has no experience with the learner persona, how we can create easily a learner persona. So try to start to, I want to show this example. You can pick this example from this course, but I will share the QR code so you can download this slide. So this is only an example, but you can create your own. And these are the main features of a learner persona. So we can start from the demographics data that are name, age. When I say a name, you have to be creative, because the first point is that when we create a persona, we must stay in a way that we can put all our imagination on the stage. So please try to put all your ideas in place. So the name should be also, for example, a name that is not so, for example, not so popular. And regarding the age, should be a range, not, for example, 18 or 40. And yes, gender, location, and for sure occupation or education. And the last thing is something funny, I think, a picture that describe your learner personas. Then the main part, the bio, make your personas come alive. This means that you can try to imagine the expectations and goals and values of your learner personas. So try to make a step ahead in the learning goals of your learners. And the last thing, but the most important one, is to write a believable story. That means the importance of the story is that you can try to create a personal story of your learner persona. What are the other distinctive elements we can use? For example, like and dislikes of our persona, sometimes a quote or some hashtags, but you know, it depends on the type of the learning project. So please use all your ideas, and just to summarize, to create a good learner persona, I think you have to imagine to build an identikit, but pay attention to the fact that you don't need to have 100 of different personas, but you have to try to summarize, so to try to put in 1 or 2, maximum 3 personas. For example, for a course in my daily activities, I try to have 3 or maximum 4 personas, because it is simple to build a good storyboard and a good course design. So let me lead you into 3 case studies from abstract technologies to take a look at something real, because for now we have talked about something, okay, it's a persona, but in real, what is a persona? So the first project is the Limes School. In Italy, Scuola di Limes, that is a geopolitics school. If you want to take a look, it's a customer project, so you can see the page, but unfortunately not the course, but if you want, I will show you in a separate session. So this example I think is very interesting, because it was a blended learning course. For me, it was the first time that I managed a real blended learning course, because we had 2 different courses based on the entrance level of students. So we had a senior and a junior courses, and we had also 2 kind of lessons, because we had some streaming lesson and some classroom lessons in person. So we managed this situation with the OpenEdX instance, and in the design phase we used different learning experience design tools. For example, we started with an elevator pitch to try to figure out the mission of this school. Then we had for sure the personas tool, and also an affinity diagram, and finally the empathy map. So a lot of learning experience design tools, and okay, this project for me, as I said, was very interesting, because what worked in this project worked better. For me, first, the collaboration with subject matter expert, because in this kind of course, in a blended learning course, is very, very important to collaborate and to have a good communication with the subject matter expert, and what I can say also, a co-creation with the subject matter expert, because it was a challenge to manage this kind of course. Also the virtual classroom integration, because we managed some virtual lessons, so we have to face with this kind of learners, but the design phase also showed us that something not worked as expected. So, for example, keep students into the platform, and this is an important point, because when you have a platform like an open edX instance, you have to keep the students into the platform. That mean people like to share their ideas outside if they want. In fact, our students created a Telegram channel dedicated to these courses, but also because in this course we decided to not use the discussion forum in a proper way. So this unfortunately was something that didn't work. Then the other case study is regarding the International Energy Agency. Is a self-paced course, so a different kind of course. Students are from around the world and at different times, because you can imagine we had different kind of people, policymakers first, NGO employees, or business owners, or citizens. And in this case, I think that the most important part was the learning experience design tools we used, because learning types and content discovery are based on the Bloom's taxonomy, but for learning types we used also the UCL, University College of London Conversational Framework, and if you want, please take a look. Is a tool that I found very, very useful and very interesting to try to match the components with the learning outcomes. So we made this work, a great work, I think, and the results was that we decided to don't have a discussion forum, because if you can't manage it, it's better to not have a discussion forum. But for the International Energy Agency was very, very important to keep the students linked to the platform and use LinkedIn group page to link the platform to the social channel. So the ability to try to improve the social learning was the best point. And another interesting thing is that International Energy Agency use this platform to manage their training week events. So we have a platform for the learning, but a platform used also during in-person events. What didn't work? Something very, very stressful was content revisions and accuracy. As I said before, when you have a good communication and a good collaboration with the subject matter expert, the work is simple. We had a good communication, but this phase of content revision and accuracy is not so good, because we not designed for this phase. So again, the storyboard lead all the design. So it's the main pillar. And another thing, beta testing and how we collect feedback. We are now in this phase. We are running this phase. We don't know if it's working, but the interesting thing is that I've got an idea to use an open response assessment to collect the feedback from the beta testers. Because at the, we have a course with 7 modules, and for each modules we added an open response assessment at the end. So beta testers can go through each module and at the end try to leave their feedback into the platform as an assessment. Okay. So the last case study, and this one I'd love to share because it's an open course, a platform that you can go through, can browse, because it's an European project, IT on board, a self-paced course, but it is a course based on a particular goal, that is try to build a vocational orientation program for young people from 12 to 18, and is focused on the IT sector and open source technologies. So this is a project that we have to teach what is or how you can go through your vocational path. So you have not to learn something, but to try to figure out what is your path. Okay, what are the best things in this project? For me, we choose to use a different wording because of the target group. So you can imagine people from 12 to 18 years, young people. We try to avoid bias, avoid the language that was not too technical and not too difficult to this kind of target group. We also decide to have a live chat to help the students, and to have a pre-course and a post-course survey. A pre-course survey to try to figure out the expectations of this kind of students, and also a post-course survey for sure to try to improve our design process. What was difficult for sure was set the goal for this kind of course, because as I said, a vocational orientation path is something different to learn something, learn a skill. So in this project was very, very difficult, and testing and testing again means that we try to share this course with schools and with young people from different countries from Europe, as Italy, Germany, Austria, but testing means that sometimes we found difficult to convince young people to go through the course because they said, oh, I have to go in this course, but I don't want. I try to make this thing only because my teacher said to me, please go in this course. So these are our 3 different case studies. And now, some takeaways from my real experience. As I said in the beginning, user experience design and learning experience design can be different. Why? Because a user try to think about when you watch a movie, for example, on Netflix, or you buy something on Amazon Marketplace. You want to have a good experience, but you are not be forced to change something. When we talk about education, we talk about the fact that people change, because we talk about development. And this is very, very different. So user experience design is about shaping the experience of using a product. Learning experience design is about creating an experience that enables a learner to achieve a desired learning outcome. So the perspective is different. But I like questioning me ever because every day, because I like to think about my role as a designer. And I read another article from MIT Review. There are the references, so you can go through. And I also, yesterday, when we went through the MIT Museum, I found a book of Dan Norman, Design for a Better World. So we have to pay attention on the fact that when we talk about design, usually people say it's simple, use the empathy, and that's all. But we have to pay attention because the impact we have on people is important, very, very important. And sometimes design thinking fail in the implementation. So now, for us as learning experience designers, we put at the center, so have an impact and pay attention to the implementation and take care of people. And always remember that we are not the person we designed for. And last but not least, the value of our collaboration. You know, we are in a community, in the Open edX community, so for us it's the most important value. And okay, now we are at the end, but before your question, I'd like to share this quote by Bruno Munari. You know, I'm Italian, so for me is an important reference. Is the creator of the design methodology, and he said, the design method is nothing more than a series of necessary operations arranged in a logical experiential order. Its goal is to achieve maximum results with minimum effort. So at the end, my message is be simple. Make things simple. And that's all. Thank you. For the slides, you can go on the QR code, and in the slides, you will find the references So, okay. Oh, wow. Don't be shy. Sure.
Hi, thank you very much for your presentation. It's very interesting. You talk for different important things, like the difference from learning experience and user experience in the web. And you're talking about empathy.
Yeah.
I strongly believe that empathy is one of the things we need to use to improve the world. But the thing is how we can develop this skill. So if you have any experience on that, if you can tell me some experience, that will be great.
Yeah, sure. Before designing courses, I was also something like teachers because I had an experience on training young people, and yes, I agree. Empathy is a skill we need to improve a lot, but sometimes it's difficult because if you joined the keynote this morning, the first keynote, you saw that technology failed to include all the people. And for all the people, we mean not young, educated Western people, okay, but all the people. It's very difficult, but we have to change, I think, we have to change the perspective. Before become an empathy person, I think you have to learn to open your mind. Open your mind, please. You're welcome. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. For me, it is also a test because it's the first time with this audience for sure. And it's a test to try to start a discussion about the role of the learning designer. Because I think we have to switch from technology. So technology is very, very important for us, but we have to think in terms of people first, and how we can improve our role in our society in this time. You know, the most popular topic of this conference is AI. So in this time, I think that is more and more important to reflect and to think on our role. So let's try. Thank you.